The hospital was silent at 2:47 a.m. The kind of silence that didn't feel peaceful. It felt wrong. Only the emergency lights glowed faintly through the long corridor of St. Martha's Hospital, casting shadows that looked almost alive. Machines beeped softly in distant rooms, like tired hearts refusing to stop. And in the middle of all this stood Nurse Emily Carter. She had been working night shifts for 6 years, but something about this night felt different, heavy, like the air itself was watching her. She adjusted her gloves and walked toward Ward 6, where a new patient had been admitted earlier that evening under strict instructions. No visitors, no questions, no records. That alone was unusual, but what made it worse was the name on the file. Unknown male, condition critical. No ID, no background, no history. Just a man who wasn't supposed to exist on paper. Emily pushed the door open slowly. Inside, the room was dim. A single patient lay on the bed, heavily bandaged, connected to multiple machines. His face was partially visible, and then his eyes opened. Emily froze. He shouldn't have been conscious. The monitor beside him spiked slightly, as if reacting to fear. "You shouldn't be awake," she whispered. The man's lips trembled. His voice came out cracked, barely audible. "Don't trust them." Before she could respond, the door behind her clicked open. Dr. Raymond Hale entered, tall, calm, too calm. "Everything all right, Nurse Carter?" he asked, smiling politely. Emily stepped back slightly. He just spoke. The doctor's smile didn't change, but his eyes did. "That's impossible. He's been sedated." The man on the bed suddenly started coughing violently. The machines beeped faster. Emily rushed to stabilize him, but Dr. Hale grabbed her wrist. "Leave it. He's unstable." But Emily had already seen something strange. A bruise on the patient's wrist. Not from injury, from restraint. Hard restraint. The kind used to hold someone against their will. Later that night, Emily couldn't sleep. Something kept replaying in her mind. Don't trust them. Who was them? And why was this patient hidden like a secret? She went to the hospital records room. Technically, she wasn't allowed, but Emily had worked here long enough to know every blind spot in the security system. She logged into the system, typed, "Unknown male, Ward 6. The screen flickered. Access denied. She tried again using doctor override codes she had memorized over time. Still nothing. Then she noticed something strange. The file wasn't deleted. It was buried under multiple encryption layers labeled Project Nightfall. Emily's heart slowed. She had never heard of it. She clicked deeper. A single line appeared. Subject 17. High-risk information leakage. Leakage? From a patient? That didn't make sense. Unless this wasn't a patient. This was someone they were afraid of. Suddenly, the lights in the records room flickered. The screen went black. And behind her, footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Emily turned sharply. No one. But the door was now slightly open. She didn't remember it being open. The next morning, she acted normal. Nurses in hospitals learned quickly that survival often depended on pretending nothing was wrong. But Emily couldn't forget. She needed answers. So she went back to Ward 6. but the bed was empty. Only the restraints remained, and a small bloodstain on the pillow. Her stomach dropped. "Where is the patient from this room?" she asked a passing nurse. The nurse looked confused. "There was never a patient in Ward 6. Emily blinked. "What?" The nurse shook her head. "That room has been empty for months. It's under maintenance." Emily's hands went cold. "No, I saw him. I treated him." But when she looked around, other staff were avoiding her eyes, like they were afraid of the conversation. That night, Emily decided she couldn't stay silent. She stole the physical file from Dr. Hale's office. Inside were documents, photos, and reports. One photo made her breath stop. It was the patient, but clean, healthy, standing, and underneath the photo was a name: Daniel Reese, internal investigator. Emily's mind raced. Investigator? Why would an investigator be disguised as a patient? She read further. Daniel had been investigating illegal medical trials inside St. Martha's Hospital. Secret drug testing, unauthorized procedures, human experimentation under government funding labeled as clinical research advancement. And then, a final report. Subject captured after attempting to expose Project Nightfall. Memory suppression initiated. Identity alteration in progress. Emily stepped back. Memory suppression. They erased him. But then why did he remember enough to warn her? Suddenly, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Stop digging. You're next." Her breath caught. She looked around her apartment. Every shadow felt closer. Every sound felt intentional. The hospital was no longer just a workplace. It was a trap. The next night, Emily returned anyway. She couldn't stop now. She went straight to the basement level, an area restricted to authorized surgeons only. Her badge still worked. That was their first mistake. Downstairs, the air was colder. Too cold. Doors lined the hallway, each marked with codes instead of names. And then she saw it. Project Nightfall. Lab 3. The door was slightly open. Inside, rows of medical equipment, files, and a large glass chamber. Her breath stopped. Inside the chamber were people, not dead, alive, sedated, connected to machines that monitored their brain activity. Emily stepped closer. One of them moved. Slowly, his eyes opened. It was Daniel. He looked at her with exhaustion and recognition. "You came," he whispered. Emily rushed forward. "What is this place?" Daniel's voice was weak. "They don't treat patients here. They rewrite them." Her heart pounded. What does that mean? They erase memories, replace identities, test behavioral control through neurological suppression. Emily shook her head. "That's impossible." Daniel gave a weak laugh. "You've seen it. You just didn't understand it yet." Then everything changed. Footsteps. Behind her. Slow clapping. Dr. Raymond Hale stepped into the room. "I was wondering when you'd find this place," he said calmly. Emily turned, shocked. "What are you doing to these people?" Dr. Hale sighed like a tired teacher. "Improving them?" "No," Daniel said weakly. "You're destroying them." Hale ignored him. "Emily, you've been very curious. That's rare. Most nurses prefer ignorance." She stepped back. "Let them go." Hale tilted his head. "I can't do that." "Why?" because you already know too much. The lights in the lab turned red and alarms started softly. Emily realized too late she wasn't here to discover the truth. She was being evaluated. Dr. Hale pressed a button. Gas began filling the room. Emily coughed, stumbling backward. Daniel shouted, "Run," but Emily refused. She grabbed a metal tray and smashed the control panel. Sparks exploded. Machines began to fail. Alarms screamed louder. In the chaos, she unlocked Daniel's chamber. His restraints released. He collapsed into her arms. "We have to get out," she said. But Daniel grabbed her wrist. "No. Expose them. Outside. Journal. Evidence. Everything is stored in the main server." Then his grip loosened. He passed out. Emily dragged him through the corridor as alarms echoed everywhere. Security was coming. Fast. Too fast. She reached the stairwell. Then, a shot rang out. The bullet hit the wall beside her. Dr. Hale stood at the end of the corridor holding a tranquilizer gun. End of the line, Nurse Carter. Emily's mind raced. She had one chance. She pressed the fire alarm system override Daniel had mentioned earlier. Sprinklers activated. Water poured everywhere. Visibility dropped. She used the distraction, ran, down, up, through the emergency exit. She burst outside into the cold night air, dragging Daniel with her. Behind them, St. Martha's Hospital looked normal again. Too normal. Like nothing ever happened. But Emily knew the truth now, and she wasn't going to stop. Weeks later, encrypted files leaked on Project Nightfall exposed. Illegal experiments shut down. Dr. Raymond Hale arrested, but Daniel Reese was never found again. Some say he escaped. Some say he was never real. And Emily, she left nursing forever. But sometimes, late at night, she still hears hospital monitors beeping in her sleep, and a voice whispering, "Don't trust them." Because the truth is simple. Some hospitals heal people, and some hospitals rewrite them. Because sometimes the scariest places are not haunted, they are hidden in plain sight. For more stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.